Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. At an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council convened by Ukraine after massive Russian Oreshnik strikes on the city of Lviv and its energy facilities on the night of the 9th of January, the Russian delegation decided not to break with tradition. Russian representative Vasily Nebenzya announced to the world that Moscow would continue the war until Volodymyr Zelensky agreed to realistic peace terms. Now, translated from Nebenzyan into normal language, this means we will continue bombing until you agree that we have won. Peace, as usual, is being offered through missiles, freezing temperatures and blackouts, the classic diplomatic toolkit of the 21st century, apparently. Nebenzya also warned that with each passing day, the terms of peace for Ukraine would only become worse.
Армия России нанесла один массированный и 4 групповых удара с 3 по 9 января, в результате которых поражены объекты транспортной, аэродромной, портовой, а также энергетической инфраструктуры, обеспечивающих работу ВПК Украины, а также пункты временной дислокации ВСУ и иностранных наемников. Это произошло в ответ на атаку киевского режима по резиденции президента России и объектам гражданской инфраструктуры нашей страны. В ходе удара применялся комплекс «Орешник», от которого нет средств защиты ПВО. Наши западные коллеги вещают нам о жертвах среди гражданских лиц, большая часть которых, как хорошо известно, в том числе украинцам, является следствием работы украинской ПВО. Все эти громкие, но совершенно голословные утверждения о прицельных нападениях России на мирно спящие в своих домах украинские семьи не подтверждаются ничем, никакими фактами и свидетельствами. Пока киевский главарь не придет в чувство и не согласится на реалистичные условия переговоров, до тех пор мы будем решать проблемы военными методами. Его предупреждали еще в свое время. Условия для переговоров для него с каждым потерянным им днем будут становиться только хуже. И на каждую подлую атаку по мирным российским гражданам последует жесткий ответ. Благодарю вас.
Now, Ukraine's permanent representative to the UN, Andriy Melnik, spoke openly about Russia's real motives at the meeting. According to him, the attacks on the energy sector were not accidental. Moscow deliberately waited for harsh winter conditions to arrive so that it could weaponize the darkness and the cold. This is, unfortunately, a rather familiar story. When arguments run out, cold weather comes into play. As Melnik noted, what is happening is increasingly reminiscent of the World War II practices, when evil empires tried to break civilian resistance by turning survival into a daily ordeal. In the end, the UN meeting once again demonstrated the paradox of Kremlin rhetoric. A country that shells cities and leaves millions of people without electricity and heat demands a realistic peace, but only on its own terms and accompanied by rocket fire. And if we are to believe Mr. Nebenzya, peace will surely arrive one day. True, only after Ukraine stops resisting, agrees to ultimatums and preferably does so in complete darkness and at minus 20 degrees Celsius. But it's still peace, the Russians would surely say. One thing remains unclear, however. Is Russia feeling overconfident? Is it feeling desperate? Or is it itching for some sanctions? I'd say all of it. Did you know Senator Lindsey Graham's Russian sanction bill was actually greenlit recently? It's just what the doctor ordered. Another wave of disinformation aimed at inciting hostility towards Ukrainians has been recorded by the Polish information space. This time, children became the victims. Or rather, were supposed to be the victims. Now, a video started to circulate on social media, and it allegedly shows a class full of children being forced to sing the Ukrainian anthem in a kindergarten. Some Polish politicians picked the story up and presented it as evidence of the Ukrainization of Poland's education system. In fact, the video is a piece from the archives, having first appeared in March 2023 on the official website of the municipal kindergarten in the city of Słupsk. You see, it was Ukraine Day, organized to integrate Ukrainian children who found refuge in Poland after the full-scale invasion. The children's participation in the event was voluntary. Their parents were all duly informed, and the anthem was performed as a symbol of solidarity, not as an insidious plan to capture Poland through children's voices or something like that. The municipal authorities of Słupsk officially denied all allegations of coercion. According to the kindergarten's administration, the children sang not because someone forced them to, but because they wanted to support their friends who had suffered from the war. To be honest, this is more of a lesson in humanity than a course on how to conquer Poland with a Ukrainian anthem. Information security experts emphasize that such manipulations create tensions between Poles and Ukrainians, form a false impression of the imposition of Ukrainian culture, and undermine public support for refugees. Plus, as is often the case with Russian propaganda, the whole thing is also pure projection, because just in case you forgot, there is one country where forcing kids to sing anthems, abducting them from their communities, subjecting them to brainwashing and indoctrination, and generally ruining their childhood is considered common practice. And that country is Russia. Now, to close out today's episode, let's take a look at Vladimir Solovyov and Margarita Simonyan, who stated with their usual confidence that, and I quote, "We wiped Kyiv off the face of the earth twice during the Great Patriotic War." The comment sounds less like a description of the 20th century's greatest and most seismic catastrophe, and more like the pompous celebration of a kid who just beat yet another level of Elden Ring.
Мы всегда говорили, что мы отстаивали и отстаиваем свои интересы. Дай Бог здоровья, чтобы нам хватило всего, и чтобы мы действительно потом смогли объяснить друг другу, почему мы не бомбили Киев так, как его следовало бы бомбить, потому что теперь он наш. Дай Бог.
Мы 2 раза Киев практически с лица земли стирали во время Великой Отечественной войны. Это всегда очень, так же было. Это же всегда очень тяжелый вопрос. Все, что построило человечество своими руками, можно отстроить. А вот человеческие жизни не вернуть.
Это
вот я
правда.
смотрю, что сейчас происходит на войне. Да если мы бы всю мощь, которая у нас есть, использовали, то и темпы продвижения были бы совсем другие. И потери, как с одной, так и с другой стороны, были бы совсем другие. Но мы ведем специальную военную операцию, поэтому, как сказал наш верховный главнокомандующий, мы пытаемся А с той стороны ведут террористическую войну против нас. И с той стороны за террористами стоит вся мощь блока НАТО.
During World War II, Kyiv indeed suffered extreme destruction. But there is a nuance that, for some reason, was always lost when aired on Russian television. The city was occupied by Nazi Germany, and much of the destruction was the result of retreating Soviet troops, the demolition of infrastructure, and subsequent fighting between 2 totalitarian regimes. So if we follow the logic of Solovyov and Simonyan, it turns out that the Soviet Union wiped out Kyiv on its own territory, and they did it twice. Apparently, Russia still functions according to the principle, if I can't have it, then no one else can, since they destroyed the city and they couldn't really own it, so that's what they did. Now, for Russian propagandists, history is a flexible material. If necessary, the Red Army liberates and rebuilds. But also, if necessary, it wipes places off the face of the earth. And they don't care about this even being slightly consistent. All that matters is that the narrative fits well into today's mood and justifies today's missile strikes. The irony is that Kyiv today, alive, resisting, and unyielding, is the best refutation of Solovyov and Simonyan's words. It was not erased then and cannot be erased now, despite missiles, drones, blackouts, or ritual statements made on live TV. Because that's what ultimately it all is. It's a kind of ritual. It's incantations and chants that have nothing to do with facts or reality. And the only thing that is missing is Solovyov interviewing Stalin with a Ouija board. And with this, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news, updates and commentary.